What up, guys? Jason Guyman here, and tonight we got a scary issue we are going to talk about. This is one that if you don't have insurance and if you do something stupid, it could really cost you a lot in the end. I've known some people that have paid it out. I know some people that have gotten lucky. I've known some people that whatever, but we will talk more about it with it here tonight with Miss Trudi because she has kind of been digging deep on this really hard. And so that's why I brought her on here tonight, because this is something that a lot of people, it scares me to death, to be honest. I wouldn't lie. This is one thing that I have been scared of, is this this issue. This is not something new. This has been going on for years. And it's just poking its head out, ugly head out more and more every day, that we see more and more people are having this issue. And so before we get started here, we'll see who we got in the house. We got Big Rob out of New Jersey. How are you doing? I'm ready for this one. Trudi and Jason, the Dream Team Exterior Cleaning. Jake says, woohoo, finally going to make my first live. I'm building a budget trash can rig to make myself more efficient. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We got Servant Soft Wash in the house. Evening, folks. Hey, Jason, this year has been a hard year so far. Not only customers, but other people as well. Hope everyone else is doing well. What's up, boys and girls? Kevin says, what's up, Trudi? Hey, Jason, kindly catching the live. All right, so Trudi, tell me just a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? All of that good stuff.
Well, I'm in Florida. Well, actually, lower Alabama. I'm like as far north Florida as you can get. Um, I started washing in '07. My husband started washing a little bit before, and I think I froze up a little bit there.
Yeah,
Not a
you're
good look.
still, your volume, your sound
Okay.
is still good. You're just frozen.
Okay. So he was washing a little bit before me, and the housing market crashed. I was a retail store manager. He was selling flooring, carpet, tile on commission. So, that wasn't going well. So he started going full time with his pressure washing, and I started an internal cleaning business. So we, uh, we kind of merged together. I'd pressure wash with him Monday through Friday, and he'd come help me do the internal cleaning on the weekend. So we built this, and we were, going to training. We were getting educated. We were doing forums. We were, trying out new chemicals and, just what everybody does when they first get started. And then probably about 10 years ago, we had two houses change on us in 1 month. It was a $5 million house and half a $1 million house. So in 1 month, we were liable to pay $77,000 in painting, to repaint. That's a lot of money. So the first one, the builder took care of it. That was a $5 million house, thank goodness. And so they knew we didn't do anything wrong, but we washed all their houses beforehand. It was a big contract for us, and we lost that contract. They couldn't use us anymore. So then the other one, we bought the paint, and it was a Sherwin-Williams paint, and the Sherwin-Williams said they couldn't give us the paint free, but they sold us a 5-gallon bucket of Duration for $1 for the 5-gallon. So to me, that is claiming like at fault. They're at
Right.
fault. I wish I knew how to fix this. I don't know how to fix this.
Yeah, I don't know why it froze.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, hello, am I moving?
No,
So anyway,
it's not. But we can hear you, so that's a good
okay.
thing.
All right. Well, you just have that funny look on my face right there, so that's good.
I know.
Um, so anyway, the second we bought the paint, and the $500,000 homeowner, he decided he got it repainted even though we had the paint, and he sued us. So he sued us, and so then I started digging into it because I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I'm like, okay, so we didn't do anything wrong. We're educated. We have the newest equipment. We're hitting the house with like 1%, maybe 1.25, and it's never had an issue before. So that's when I started digging into it and trying to figure out what's going on. And I found out there was a lot more people that was having this issue. There was one guy that was, he lost everything. He changed 7 homes in one subdivision, lost his house. His insurance wouldn't cover all that. So he lost it. He lost his business, his house, everything. He bankrupt. I felt so bad for him. And so the more I dug, and it was challenging because the doors were just shutting, and it was our fault. And I'm like, I know it's not our fault. We're doing what we can to protect the property of the homeowners. That's our first goal, to beautify it. We're not there to destroy it.
Right.
And so the more I dug, that I'd get doors shut in my face. I called corporate offices of paint manufacturers, and oh no, we've never heard of such a thing. And I'm like, okay, I got pictures. I've got evidence. And the funny thing is it was my fault, our fault, my company's fault. And when they took, the rep came and took a sample of the $5 million house, which, by the way, we washed the day before closing. So these people showed up for their $5 million house. It took 5 years to build, and it was a different color. So anyway, and it was a light blue, so we couldn't tell when it was wet. They took a sample, they tested it. There was no evidence of SH. There was no evidence of surfactant on there. So the end result was we washed it incorrectly.
So
And
this was a $5 million house that you all
yes.
cleaned
Mm-hmm.
in 5 years in, and it changed colors on you. So the paint was less than 5 years old.
Yes. And so I've been digging in this stuff for about 10 years. And, I was just angry. I was angry, not just for, us getting sued, and I was angry for the homeowner. That's their biggest investment. They shouldn't have, had an issue with that. And, I would be mad. And I was gut wrenched when we had to talk to these people that waited 5 years for this house, which, I'm sure they have 5 other houses, but,
Right.
but this is their dream home they built, and they had wanted, and it like took every step to get it perfect. And then they come in as a totally different color. And, that's hard. That's hard as a contractor to see that, and everybody's like, I see new contractors coming in, and if I train them, or I come in and I sell them stuff, I always educate them. And so I let them know, I'm like, the days of splash and dash are gone. You can't do that.
Right.
And okay, so finally, I've been teaching this course, and I was going to the PWNA to teach. And so I went in, and I took I took in the, no, I went in, and I went in as homeowner. So I didn't take a wrap truck. I had my black Ford, and I went in and I said, hi, I'm a homeowner, and I've had 3 contractors. You look at my house, and they won't wash it because they tested it and changes colors. And they're like, oh, that doesn't happen to our paint. And I'm like, well, it's your paint. And I showed them pictures, and I said, I'm going to get fined by my HOA because I don't have any, I got to get it cleaned.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, well, no. And 3 guys come out of the office, just barreled out of the office. And they're like, no, they washed it wrong. They used too hot of a mix. And I took everything I had just to not just blow up, because I knew what it was. And so I'm just like, this is nuts. They don't know. So the lady at the counter called the corporate office and asked, and said, oh, yeah, we do have some issues with washing our blue paints. The chlorine in our paint, they don't go well together. And I'm like, that's not how that happens. That's not how that happens. So, I had to behave. And so they sold me the Simple Green house wash. So I took it home. I tested it. It didn't change the color of the paint, and then it didn't kill the mildew.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, if it does kill the mildew, let me try a little hotter mix to see if it works. And so I did, and I did not rinse it. So by the time I got to teach my class, the board had changed colors.
From just
From
simple green?
yeah, there was I used a pump up. There was no sh in there.
Really? What?
So yeah, so I went and took the board. I put my educator shirt on, and then I went back to the store I bought the simple green from, and I carried my sample board. I said, "Hey, I'm actually an educator with the PWI, and I travel educating people." And they're like, "Oh, really? They need education?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you don't want to mess up somebody's house." And they had no clue that they just thought we went in there, sprayed water, and left. I mean, it was just crazy. So she took pictures of it, and then they actually brought out the pigment, the magenta pigment, and said, "This is a pigment we use."
Yeah.
I had hit the honey hole. I took so many pictures of that bottle. I mean, you can on this, like half my pictures are on that bottle in case I missed something. So I went back, I printed the SDS sheet on it, and I typed in, there was a little code number. And I'm like, oh, let me just Google this and see what this does. So I did, and it came up as an interior primer colorant. And I'm like, why are they putting interior colorant paint, pigment in exterior paint?
Right.
Why would they do that? And so then I got to dig more, and they manufactured it in Canada and Mexico. So I don't speak Spanish, so I'm like, okay, I was originally from England. I can speak the Canadian accent. I can do this. So I reached out to the Canada office. So I looked in there, typed in where it was, typed in the address, and it is an automotive paint manufacturer plant. And I'm like, wait a minute. So they're doing interior color pigment manufactured in an automotive paint plant. So I'm like, which you'd think the automotive paint would be
Better.
stronger.
Yes.
Not without a clear coat, it's not.
Uh,
How many people are going to clear coat their house?
Nobody.
Yeah. So, you've seen cars running around with no clear coat, and and they're faded. So I found this information out, and I'm like, okay. And then I found out about the Sherwin-Williams, and not the Sherwin-Williams, but the James Hardy. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to let the big boys spend their money, because I've already spent enough on chemicals and paint and, boards and everything, testing all these chemicals, and I'll let them spend their money. And I hope to God that, it that they win, because then that makes us not liable. We have a leg to stand on at that point.
Right.
So I did track the pigment back to 2005. Well, I
All the
didn't
way
track
back to 2005?
I tracked back the paint issue to 2005, and then when I got the pigment, it was started being manufactured in 2005. So my timeline was perfect. I had it perfect.
So so obviously there's an issue with paint. I've been putting some pictures of it up here so people can see it. And I don't know if anybody's had issues in the comments. If you have, let me know. I've had an issue with it. The time I had an issue with it, the paint was like only 2 weeks old, and that's usually when I've had issues with it. I've
Yeah.
never had it. Actually, I did have one on Hardy board, also, but it was already faded, and so we went and told the customer before we even cleaned it. And once we cleaned it, it just got a little worse, and we were like, "That's what we told you were going to happen," and that
Mhm.
is very important to cover your tail. So
Yes.
as a pressure washing business, obviously we need to know what's painted and what's not. What's some good? I guess we'll start there. What's a good way to make sure that this is not going to change on us?
Well, first thing I tell people is to, when you're doing a bid, walk around the house. If there's on the sunny side of the house, if that paint is faded at all, that's a telltale sign, because if the natural elements are going to break down those organics as well. That's why the shady side of the house has always got more mildew than the sunny side,
Right.
because it loves that, they loves the shade and everything. So you do that, and then ask the homeowner, said, you mind if I do a test spot? Go behind a bush, AC unit, anywhere. And it can just be a tiny little dot. It doesn't have to be, a frisbee size spray. Just do a tiny little test spot behind something.
Yeah.
I use straight SH because the $5 million house we changed, you couldn't tell till the next day because it was such a light blue. You can test with downstream if you're going to come back the next day, but time is money in our business. You want to roll up, you want to wash the house, you want to get paid and go home.
Right.
So it will show depending on the weather. I've been up in Tennessee doing a class, and my SH was left on a truck, and it was snowing, and not Florida weather, and it took about 15 minutes for it to change. So if you've got strong SH and it's not freezing cold, you'll be able to see it change in less than a minute.
Gotcha.
And it'll change to like a green. There we go, like that one. But now I've just been seeing, I've had a couple guys send me pictures where there's a pink tint. So now I'm kind of concerned there's another pigment, another color. So every time somebody messages me, which is daily, I ask them to see if they can get the color code on the can to see what it could be.
I did
Because
have one happen. It was white, and it actually
yeah,
turned like a pink.
yeah.
The white paint kind of, and then when it kind of had like some pink streaks in it.
Yeah, usually it's like fluorescent green, like that one is white. It looks like the Ghostbuster slime went through it.
Hmm.
And the thing that gets me is it's not consistent. It's not like a solid. It's streaky, it's spotted, and I'm like, why? All that paint's mixed up, and that boggles my mind, which I haven't wrapped my mind around. But I've had, I think in one day I had two guys message me and send me pictures of they had actually changed the house, and I had two guys message me and thanked me because they tested the house and they sent me pictures. It's like, look at this. I said, if it's got a green tinge, you're done. Just either you can wash it this way or just say you can't wash it
Right.
because it doesn't matter. They say, hey, I'm going to put a waiver on my contract. It doesn't mean a dang thing.
So,
You,
what is a way, obviously? So, obviously, we want to test it, right? We want to
mhm.
do it in not just one spot, but a couple different spots.
Yes.
Because now that, I do remember we had a yellow house that it only
Mhm.
did it under the porch. It didn't do it anywhere else. And
Right.
it had been painted about a year or two, but it only did it under
Mhm.
the porch. Um, so, obviously, we want to test it in several different spots and not just one spot. Um, and so the other thing that I know Dougie Dew said that he had a house that he had washed 10 years, and it was the 10th year that it finally changed on you, right? So just because you do a house last year doesn't mean it won't change next year.
Exactly. And they do touch ups. And, they do touch up. And we, ourselves, our company, they tested the house, washed it, and then we get a call and they just repainted all the porch ceilings. And this is a 3-story beach house. So there's like 8 dang porches on the beach, high end paint, and it would have cost us $12,000 to paint. I educated the homeowner. She agreed to pay half. So, it costs us 6 grand to do that. You have to paint, you have to test every painted surface and educate the homeowner, educate them because they don't know. I mean, all these paint stores, their employees don't know. So, I try to educate them too because they're selling a product that can damage. And, we're the only people losing money. Paint manufacturers are not losing money. The paint stores are not losing money. The painters are not losing money. They're all making money.
Right.
We're losing money. So, protect yourself. Make sure you test even on, shutters. You can take a Q-tip on the side of a shutter, underneath the shutter, just so it's not visible. But make sure you educate the homeowner and let them know why you're doing that. So they have an idea. And if it does change, I had one homeowner, I said, well, what do I do? How do I wash it? And at this point, I hadn't tested the products to find one that works. And I said, well, I mean, we can wash it, but you're going to have to repaint. And if you repaint, I'd recommend not using that paint.
So what's the paint that's causing the? I mean, is there a paint out there that's not going to cause this issue?
Nope, it's a pigment, and that pigment can be put in any paint. It can be contractor grade. It can be the high end duration. That's what changed on us. The two houses we changed were two different paints, both of them high end. They were both, I mean, a $5 million house. I'm not using contractor paint on there.
Right.
So it's any paint. It could be any brand of paint. I would not limit it to one brand. I wouldn't limit it to one, you know, grade of paint. It's any paint. And I've had it on decks, painted decks. I've got pictures where you wash a house, you test the house, and there's a painted deck, and it's half pink and half neon green. You know, it's scary. And my goal, like, I don't want to be a scary person. I'm not a scary person, but I hope I scare the bejesus out of everybody and make them test. And I've got people calling me saying, I've got this house, I'm terrified. I'm like, just test to be fine. But he's walked away from two houses because they would have changed.
Right.
So, I would love to scare everybody, even though I'm not scary. I mean, I just want to terrify them just so they test. Keep it in your mind. Keep it there. And so many new contractors out here don't know. And I try to get my message across. And there's also some guys come on there, oh, it's oxidation. And they fight with me. And I'm like, I pray to God it's oxidation, but I've never seen oxidation turn a blue house green.
Right.
I'm like, no, you haven't. And I said, and not in my 16 plus years of washing, it usually has a light, it makes it lighter. It doesn't change the color. And he finally said, oh, so you've never washed oxidized vinyl? I said, I have, but the picture you're looking at is hardy board. And then he didn't say anything else. So, it's not always, it's a problem. It's not oxidation. Sometimes it'll change, but if you have that green tint, that neon green tint in there, or like this yellow, which is, I mean, you can see the green in there also. But now this new pink color, now I'm gonna have to spend more money on paint and start testing other things.
And you spent a lot of money on paint.
A lot of money on paint and chemicals and time. I've spent hours. I mean, I have to paint the boards and I have to leave them somewhere to get moldy, or find some other moldy stuff to put on there. It's not an easy task. And I was mad. I got so mad about this. And I'm like, I don't want any other contractor having to go through this. And
this is a good question here that Nathan asked. Why doesn't insurance cover this?
It can. Homeowners are.
You probably got to have the right insurance.
They're only going to cover you once or twice.
Yeah.
There, and then you're going to drop, and then you're going to have to go to another insurance, and it's going to raise your rates, and then they're going to drop you in this. So, you're liable, unfortunately, even though you're not at fault. Like but don't get me wrong. There is some contractor error. I went to a house and he had a dark brown house and he just got a new metering valve and he left his employees to do it and he didn't realize, and they washed this brown house with straight 12.5.
That's why I would never let an employee run a proportioner or a gas pump.
I don't even have one on mine. I don't want one on mine. I fight it. My husband's all about, oh, let's get this new. I'm like, don't touch my trailer. I
love it. Don't get me wrong. I've used one. I've used one way back when I had the business, and then DJ's bought it, and it's amazing. But it's one little oopsie, and you have nuked everything.
Exactly. And I just seen somebody ask if it was blues and greens. No, I've seen it in white. You've seen yellow, beige, purple, browns, tans, obviously green and blues. And I've seen like a red house. I don't know why people paint their house red, but whatever. It's not limited to just one color. Anything, the magenta is a problem. So if you get a color wheel and you see how many colors are in that magenta, in magenta in those colors, there's a lot of colors that have magenta in them. Right. And, people's like, what about white? I'm like, it's not a bright white. There's probably 100 shades of white. Like I looked into this, like I'm weird. Now I'm a paint weirdo, but I looked into this and there's like 101 shades of white. I'm like, why? Why is there so many? But to get those shades, they have to put a different color. Some put black in there to get like a a white, and then some put the red and some put the blue, just to get those different colors of white, which normal people wouldn't think of. But now this thing's just obsessed my mind, and I'm just weird on this paint. But yeah, so any colors possible. And now that we're seeing, now I've just got two contractors show me that there's a pink, just turning pink.
Right.
Now I'm wondering if there's another, color pigment that we need to worry about. So I think my internet's not out, so I don't know why it may be slow. I
I
don't
was
know.
going to say, I can talk here if you want to jump off and see if you can jump back on and see if that would fix that.
Okay, I can try.
Yeah. I'll keep talking here. So this is an issue. This is an issue that I've had. This is an issue that is not a fun thing that you will get caught with your pants down, basically. This is something that I got lucky and I never paid anything out of pocket out of the time that it happened to me. But it can happen. And so I hope she can get back on here. But this is definitely something that, I worry about. I still worry about it.
Yeah, I'm
We're
here.
live again.
We should have done that a while ago.
I know. After I thought about it, I was like, well, I didn't want to lose you all the whole way. So,
Yeah.
but someone asked a question here that it said, where did I say it? Is it possible on vinyl siding once it oxidizes and breaks down? I would say no to that, but I actually, we can cause oxidation on vinyl siding by leaving bleach on there and letting it dry. And two, if it's been painted, then it could technically cause it. And I have seen vinyl siding that has been painted, and that could be an issue at that point.
Exactly.
So just as you go up and knock on it, make sure you don't see brush strokes, because usually you're going to see brush strokes if it has been painted over.
Exactly. And hey to everybody that said hi. I'm not technically advanced here, so I don't know how to answer everybody. So I'll just say hi on here. But yeah, this is like one of my test boards. So I do a sample and I sprayed on there. This is from one of my classes, but you can see how it changes. And I did the other side from another paint brand.
Yeah.
Nothing. So, and I take the paint and I take the paint that I know is going to change, and I go to other paint manufacturers and have them mix it up for me. So I'm like, hey, I want this color. They don't know what I'm doing. So they make the same color, but they can get the same color, but they don't always use the same pigment, which is weird. So.
Gotcha. And this is something that it does scare me. I mean, I'm scared of it. I'm not gonna lie. Hardy board, because man, if this happens to you, it's not going to be good.
No.
It's going to possibly put you out of business if you're not ready for it.
Right.
Or you can only fight with the homeowner so much and try not to get it blamed your fault and their fault, or whose fault is it. And I know some people that have had luck going that route, and I've known some people that the homeowner's insurance starts suing you and all of that kind of stuff. And so it's definitely something that I hate it. And it is something that we have to, like we talking about it, educating ourselves so that way we can do it. Obviously, like we said once in the beginning, we want to do lots of test spots. I've seen it only on one side of the house, and we sprayed the exact same chemical all the way around the house, and it only happened on the one side of the house, right? Mm-hmm. It's not always going to happen all the way around the house. It probably has the same pigment in the house, but it didn't react to it in the rest of it.
And you know why that is? It's probably the sunny side of the house that changed, and you're using way less. I mean, my rule of thumb, if your mix is strong enough to kill the mildew, it's strong enough to change the paint. Right. So he was like, "Oh, well, you use a strong mix." I can't use anything less than 1 or 1.25 here, because we have that sticky mildew that's just not going anywhere. And
that's the thing. When I had my business, I actually didn't run strong mix. I ran a weak mix, because we downstreamed everything, and I cut it 50-50 because that was the same that we were using for the roof. So we were
Mhm.
only using about a 0.75 mix in the
Right.
first place, and it still caused it way back then.
Yep, exactly. So, the new guys out there, education, people, that like watch YouTube videos. Please talk to people that's been out there. Please talk to people that's been in the industry for years. I mean, I got a lot of slack when I first started doing this, just being a female. And, I still get slack, but I don't have to say anything because people that know me, it's like, she's been working way more than you. And, I love the industry. I've been washing over 16 years, and then, I'm old. I'm 52 years old, and I got a grandbaby. He's perfect, but I had shoulder surgery, knee surgery, foot surgery, trigger finger surgery, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this 5, 6 days a week. So I need to do something else, but I want to stay in the industry. So that's why we opened Panhandle, and it was the perfect location. There was no stores anywhere near us, and it was funny because I just wanted to do it for us and locals. But then I started educating people about this, and I started getting more well known on social media, and just trying to help people. And I'm not pushing my store, I'm not pushing my products. I'm honestly and genuinely just want to help to educate, so nobody else has to do what happened to me. I don't want any other contractor to have to deal with this. So, and they're dealing with it. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I talk a lot, so I thought they would be out there, but there's still contractors that don't know. And I just want to put the fear of God in them, because this is scary. It could cost a lot of money. You could lose your business.
Yep. How can you tell if it's hardy board or not? I always take my hand and knock on it. Usually it's
Mhm.
going to be bigger. Usually it's going to be
Yeah.
like 6 or 8 inches per panel. Usually it's going to be bigger. It's not going to be like 4 inch siding. It's going to be bigger. So, and then the other thing I do is so like this is like 4 inch siding right here, my dirty
Mhm.
siding. Usually if you knock on it, you can tell it's going to be hollow or not. So that's how I've always tied. Like I said,
And
usually
then
it's going to be bigger. It's
And that's going to be wood. That's going to be wood siding. So hardy boards is cement base. So
yes,
it's going to be more solid, and it's not going to be knocking on a door. It's going to be a different texture, but you'll get to it. And the siding is just got a different, I can't think of the word now, but it's got a different feel to it. It's got a
different
different,
sound. A lot of times, even if you take your fingernails, you can rub over
yeah,
that vinyl siding, and you can tell that it's not it's plastic is what you can tell at that point. Because some of
exactly.
the siding will have insulation in behind it, and it will be a little bit harder than just siding nailed up to it. But even then, when they put vinyl siding up, vinyl siding's got to be able to move because it's going to shrink, and as that sun hits it, it actually shrinks in that. So when they put it on the nails, they actually don't nail this stuff all the way in. They actually leave the nails stick out a little bit, so that way it can move side to side as it heats up and shrinks down when it cools down. So
And here, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, maybe not. Oh,
this
oh, I
way, yeah,
can't.
the
That
other
way. No,
way.
that way.
There
There
you
we
go.
go. Oh, you can't see it here. Oh, maybe a little bit. That's that green porch.
On the deck.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, you really can't see it, but it's bad. It's like neon green. Oh, wrong
Yeah,
way. I can't learn this. No, wrong way. Look, see, I don't do. There we go.
yeah.
So they were washing a house and looked down, and the painted patio was just bad. I was like, oh my gosh. So no, I get calls daily. I give my cell phone out. If a contractor calls me and say, hey, oh my gosh, look at this picture, and I might just talk to the homeowner. And I don't know what to say. I'll give them my cell phone. I'll tell them. I'll educate them. I'll tell them what's going on. But hardy board, another thing about hardy board is it doesn't always change, but because it's a cement board, it dries uneven. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had a guy call me in his car. He washed a house, and he goes around the corner and he runs to his truck. He calls me, and he's like, shaking. I can hear in his voice shaking. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? He goes, the house, the house. I'm like, what about it? What's going on? You calm down. What's going on? And he's like, it's got streaks. I'm like, okay, hold on. What siding is it? He goes, it's hardy board. I said, okay, so is there an area that you've washed this dry? And he's like, yeah. I said, okay, walk with me. Go look at the backside. Hardy board dries uneven because it's cement.
Right.
When you pre-treat a driveway, you've got areas that are dry before the others because
Hmm.
it's porous, it absorbs different. So, you know, he just comes out and he's like walking, he goes, oh my God, it's fine. I said, okay, just relax. It's not every house, it's not every hardy board house, it's the pigment in the paint. So, don't freak out if it changes a little bit, but do remember to test doors, windowsills, shutters, gutters, porch ceilings, everything.
A lot of times your doors will mess up faster than anything else
Yeah.
because everybody paints their doors way more often than the
Yeah.
rest of the house, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing I really learned when I had the business is, concrete, you want it to be a year old or older to be before we start cleaning it. Paint, you really want it about 3 or 4 months old, not just fresh paint, because anything less than 3 or 4 months, there's a good chance that you're going to change the pigment in that paint.
Mhm.
And it could be any paint. It ain't even, you don't even know what that paint is.
Exactly.
So it is important that we know when they painted the house. One of my pictures of my roof clean that I always remember is we had they had just painted all the gutters and everything, and it had green streaks going all over that stupid thing, and we didn't get
Yeah.
paid for that job. That was a free job.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's some free jobs out there I've done too.
but we
So
didn't have to paint it, and so
yeah, good.
nine hundred
Yeah.
dollar roof clean or $900 roof clean, and we have a lot more issues. So,
Yeah. So I've already painted my boards. They've been painted for, I think I painted a bunch in January for my next class. So
yeah,
I always paint for the next class I'm going to do. So I have them. I'm not going to go and paint it and then 24 hours later test it because it's not going to be settled. It's got to be cured before you test it. So, I mean, and not only paint, I've got a friend that we actually helped get into the pressure washing business. And he called us. We were at the huge convention and he's freaking out. He's sending me pictures. He's freaking out. He goes, look at the gutters. Look at the gutters. And I'm like, what? And they were copper gutters. He goes, I have the same gutters in my house and I wash it. It's fine. And then I wash this house and the gutters are ruined. And I'm like, okay, so listen, when COVID happened, there was a lot of supply issues. So every manufacturer had to find some other source to make their product. Not the same. It looks like the same gutter. It's not the same gutter. So just because you're familiar with something that's not changed, it could happen. It could damage it. So $6,000 later, he had to replace his gutters, and he's so mad. He's like, "But mine are the same." I'm like, "You don't understand. It's not the same. Just like this blue paint looks the same as this blue paint, but guess what? It's not the same paint.
right,
Just because it's going to change colors because of what's in it.
right,
So, make sure you protect yourself on everything. Doorknobs. A guy's like, "Oh, I just washed this house and I want the doorknobs and the lamps outside are all ruined." And I'm like, "Well, you just with the chlorine, you just stripped all the oils out of that metal."
right.
Well, I sold him a product. I said, here, try this. It's ART from EcoCam. I said, try this and see if it puts the oils back. If not, you're buying new lamps and you're buying new doorknobs. So that's what it is. So property protection on any form, if it's plants or just doorknobs or the whole entire painted house, that's on you. You're liable for that.
Yeah, someone posted here because I know you hit on this earlier, but can't you word your terms and conditions service contract properly to protect yourself in case something like this even happens, even though you did test spots?
It will not hold up in court.
It's a piece of paper. You got a piece of paper that is worth about as much as the piece of
Yep.
paper's worth. That's what it's worth.
I mean, you can fool some homeowners in that, but if you have your biggest investment and some guy shows up and totally destroys, okay, like if you go get your car detailed and he out there, washing it with a Brillo pad and ruins it, but you've got a piece of paper saying, oh, he's not liable for any damages. They don't know what you've done. You know, if you may go to court and prove, hey, I did a test spot, but do you have it on video? Can you prove that? You know, can you prove anything what you
Right,
did?
right.
No, all they know is some guy showed up, sprayed their house, and now it's a neon green instead of a yellow or a blue or brown. So, yes, you're liable, unfortunately. That's why I've been working so hard to make us not liable for this. And that is my only goal. I don't want any money back from what I've spent. I don't expect it. I'm not only protecting my business as a pressure washing business, but I'm hoping to, protect others, contractors, because if I mess up a house, they're going to expect everybody that comes to their house is going to mess it up. So,
Hmm.
if we're all educated, we're on the same page. And, I went to a house one time to wash and I knocked on the door, turned my water on, got ready, knocked on the door, said, I'm here. It's like, okay, well, I understand you're going to knock some paint off. I'm like, do what? I don't knock paint off houses when I wash. I'm like, well, the last guy just knocked all. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be this close to your house and blasting it with pressure. I know how to wash. I'm going to wash it. I downstream, as in then I turn my chemical off and I rinse with my soap tip. So I'm soft washing with my pressure washer. I'm not hitting your house with any pressure because I wouldn't want somebody doing that to my house.
So this is a good question right here. So we don't need a contract anymore. Most of these contracts are about as useless as the paper it's on. Back to, if you screw something up, if you put bleach in a water and it kills fish, guess what? It's your fault. It's a $20,000 fish. That's your fault. It doesn't matter if you have a piece of paper that says, here by doing this, I'm not going to be held accountable. And this kind of goes back to the best accountability is the pictures and videos that you take around the house before and after, right? This
Yeah.
is what's going to keep you. When I hear people get in trouble and they've done something stupid, the very first thing I always say is you got a picture of it, and the very first thing they say is man, I was too busy, I forgot to take my pictures. Right? It's about setting up processes and systems so that we take our before pictures and we take a lot of them. We take our after pictures and we take a lot of them, because just because you got it on a piece of paper, it's probably not going to hold squat. But if you got a picture of it before, and I would recommend Company Cam, it costs you $20 a month. It's $240 a year. I guarantee you it will save you more than that every year after that. And that is you going around and taking boatloads of pictures. They stay on there forever. Because yes, have I did it on my phone? Absolutely. Do I back them up to Google Photos? Sure I do. Does my phone get too many photos and I start deleting them? Sure I do. When does the customer call me? After I deleted them. So it is important that we keep pictures. It is important that we document this stuff, that we find it beforehand. And sometimes it's hard to see the BB holes in the siding because it's all green and you can't see it. But that's the things that we're looking for and we're taking pictures of. What my thing was is, make sure that we live up here in the north, right? You down in the south don't have to worry so much about water spigots freezing and filling up the basement. So what do I teach? That we crimp the hose. We listen to make sure that we don't hear water, because the DJ, my friend, he didn't do it, and next thing you knew, there was the woman comes out saying, "Man, you're filling up my basement." Well, actually, you're filling up your own basement, but it was frozen and didn't know it. But so now he checks it. He found 3 last year that had been cracked and had poured in there, so he turned it off, found another spigot. So it's important that we set up systems and processes so that way, yeah, the contract, it can be nice, it can be real good. If you probably don't get it signed, it's still probably not worth a whole lot at the end of it. And if you got a good enough attorney, or if you screw up, you got to pay for it. That's just part of this, right? It's not something that you're going to get out of for it. Now, if they have a faulty electrical something and you get water in it, who's going to fight that? That was it your fault that you poured water in it, or was it their fault because they didn't have it waterproof? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, a contract is only good, in my opinion, on getting paid. You've got a contract, you do a job, you get paid. There we go. That's it. And by the way, we did have 3 days where it got below 32. So we did have freezing for 3 days, just so you know, in Florida.
It was 31 degrees.
It was, and we had to leave. It was bad. We had a PVC pipe that broke. It was horrible, you know. But no, yeah, just That's what I said, property, even on your trucks, guys, and trailers. Don't leave a job without walking around. Wait, I did a big job at a military base, and I took this lady with me, and we were doing this sidewalks, and we not killed, we cleaned the children's center. I didn't kill any children, but I cleaned the children's center, and I had my big guy on there, and she had a little big guy, and we have places to put them where they're not going to fall off on the trailer. She'd moved mine out of the way, put hers on, and didn't push mine back behind the secure bar with the tie. So I'm driving. It's about an hour away from the warehouse, and we get back. My big guy's gone. I don't know where it is. I just lost a $1,300 piece of equipment somewhere on 98 on the beach road. So I don't know where it is. But the good thing is, I'm hoping that it fell off on the military base where we're doing 25 miles an hour and not down 98. We were doing 65, and I could have killed somebody. So ladders, always make sure, you get those little tie downs, they corrode, you're working with chlorine, they corrode, they break, just do a walk around before you leave. I know you're tired, you've been working all day, but you could have a ladder shoot off the top of your trailer and kill somebody.
Yep.
And guess what? You're liable for that too. So any protection that you can do to save yourself and save your business, just a few minutes to walk around, check that hitch just to make sure. Make sure your
Will you quit
ladders
talking about me? I've seen ladders come off and go flying down the road, and I've seen a trailer come off and almost go down the road. Luckily, the chains held it on there.
Okay, so all my stories about you. I'm sorry. I
Hey,
did the
but
big guy. Though. I did the big guy.
it happens, right? I mean, water fed pole, $1,800 water fed
Mhm.
pole. One of my guys left, and it's
Yeah,
gone. Bye bye.
yeah,
Couldn't find it. So that is very true. My strap came off today off the ladder.
yeah.
Of
So
one of the 1,000 Florida pressure washers found that Jeremy put on.
yeah. No, I don't have that many up here. They're all down central and south, but they are growing. Darn me for building trailers. Now I'm like making my own competitors. It's crazy. No, it's fine. No, we're growing here, and I hate it. They keep they just keep growing and building. So we're gonna get saturated here soon. But it's I think we were when we first started, there was us and three other companies in this whole area that did it full time. There were painters that did it, but there was only four of us that did it full time, and we're still around, and we're all buddies. We all hang out and talk and stuff. I mean, there's no anger issues or I
Well,
actually
and the thing about it is a lot of times your competition isn't your competition, right? You are your own competition.
right.
And it is important that you work together. There's times that you
Yeah.
get jobs. I know that
Mhm.
I can show people where people have gotten really good jobs by doing it.
Mhm.
I had a competitor here locally in Cincinnati, and he didn't like doing commercial, and he sent me all of his commercial when I was in business. All he did is residential, and that's all he wanted to do. He was doing $500,000 in residential. He didn't want to do commercial. He didn't like
Right.
doing commercial, so he sent me all the commercial. And I was like, "How can I pay?" And he's like, "You taught me how to pressure wash through your
Yeah.
videos, right?" I did something through teaching
Yeah.
how to pressure wash, and he sent me all his thing, and that was a nice thank you gesture to me.
Yeah.
And these wasn't $1,000 job; these were the $10,000 and $15,000 jobs. Some of them was. So it's important that we work together and not try to be not going and stealing other people's signs, not trying to write bad reviews on other people's stuff. That is not a cool thing to do at all.
Yeah.
That's petty, and I kind of say that kind of comes back to karma. It will bite you in
Yeah,
the butt every time. So
definitely. Like I mean, I still try to get a wash day every once in a while, but the warehouse keeps me so busy. But we look for our local contractors to help because usually I'm out there. It's my husband. We've got an employee, and then me are out there washing. So now I'm in the warehouse all the time. I can't help as much as I would love to, and so we look to our local guys and say, "Hey, you guys busy?" No, I haven't had a call. Well, come help us, and we work together. And even with us being a vendor, I work well with a lot of vendors because if you need something and you call me and said, "Hey, I need this really bad. I need it by Friday for a job," and I don't have it, I'll say, "All right, I'm going to write down your phone number. I'll find it for you." And I will call all the vendors I know that's in his area and try and find out who's got it and who can get it to him. And I'll call them and say, "Hey, this, Washmart or, Lori or, whoever has, has got this, or North Georgia, whoever's in the area, I say, hey, these guys have this part, call them, they can get it to you. So, I'll lose that sale just so the contractor can work
Hey,
because that's what you need to do.
before we get too long, if you buy from Trudi or if you use Trudi, put a comment of it in the how well. I've never heard nothing bad about Trudi, and I'm not saying that. I've heard bad about a lot of other people. But Trudi is one vendor that I have not heard bad stuff about. And if you've had good dealings with it, will you put the comment up for that? I would appreciate that. Um, Josh Ensing says hello to
Hey.
Trudi. And so this is something that I want to just kind of hit on there for a little bit. I know a lot of people use you all, and that's awesome. I love it. And so if you've been, if you've had, if you use Trudy services, or you've had good customer service, or just say one good thing about her. I'm sure no everybody likes to hear good things. So
I mean, even if there's bad, I would like to hear the bad because then I can improve on something. Nobody's perfect. Like right now, my new shipping guy is actually my son who has a disability. He's 27, he can't read. His disability is so rare that doesn't even have a title. So he's got a speech impediment, he can't read. And so he's making a few mistakes, but he's trying to answer the phone and he's doing the shipping. So he's made a few mistakes because he goes by pictures, and a lot of those pictures look the same. So I've been in there helping him, trying to guide him, and he loves the industry too. But with his disability, he has a hard time, and he's never been a communicator. So for him to start answering the phone, it's just been amazing. And I've reached out to the local jail that I always want to give somebody a second chance and help people that can't. So I don't believe there's a job that you can't do. I think with the right guidance and training that you can make a successful life for yourself. So, if you guys call or have a bad issue with your shipping, I'm sorry, he's still learning, but I'll make it right as soon as you let me know. But I know UPS has been horrible lately. So by the way, I had like 8 damaged packages in a week, and I got all the claims paid, but it's just like, oh my God.
So tell me a little bit before we jump off here. Tell me, I know we talked a lot about the other stuff, and I didn't even tell we were going to talk about this, but just tell a little bit about your store and what all you do, and if anybody's looking for anything. I did put the link to your store in the bottom of this description too of this
Yeah,
video.
thank you. I, being a contractor, I kind of know what's important. I do not sell anything that we wouldn't use. Like if you call me and say, "Hey, you got a brass coupler?" No, I don't, because I don't want you calling me in 2 weeks saying it corroded. So I know that doesn't work. If we've been through chemicals that don't work, or they might work just a little bit, we like to stock what is going to work. Um, and I'll test it. I mean, I'm not afraid to test it. Like the Davis shooter tip, we got that, and we got the sharpshooter, and we had a bunch of contractors ask me, "Hey, what's the difference? Can you?" So I put it side by side. I did a video and tested it. They both hit the same level. I didn't have any issues with either of them. I've got a Davis on my trailer just in case, on the windy days in Florida, which are pretty much always, and I'm between condos and I got to reach that 4-story, I have that on there. I carry them both because they're both good products, so, if I'm not going to sell anything bad. And if you call me, I'm the worst salesperson ever. If you call me and I've actually been on the phone with a contractor that's placed an order and asked me if I use this. I'm like, "No, I don't use this. This is what I do. I do this. It'll save you money. I've never used one of those in my life." And he's like, "Oh, can you cancel my order?" I'm like, "Sure." But, there's just some things like, turbo nozzles have a place, and it was a turbo nozzle, but the way he wanted to use it wasn't, he's like, "Okay, I got this gutter. I mean, this gutter, and it's got all this pine straw, and it's got this, and I just want to blast it." I'm like, "You are going to be cleaning pine straw for days, dude." I'm like, "Just don't do it. This is what I do." And, he canceled the order, which was fine. I mean, it's $95 he could be used on marketing or whatever, feeding, taking his kids out for a meal. And he did it the way that I told him to do, and he loved it. He called me. He's like, "Man, this is awesome." So, um, I people want to come in. It's like watch a YouTube. Hey, I want 8 gallon a minute machine. I want an AR-45. I want this. I want all electric hose reels. I want this. Okay, what's your budget? I got $2,500. Okay, well, let's go over here. How many roofs are you going to do? Oh, I'm not doing roofs. Okay, well, then you don't need an AR-45 right now.
Right.
Let's start with this. Make money, and then start putting money back in. Once you pay your bills, save up money to start, investing in your equipment. Don't go broke. Don't have a loan out there for, $600 a month, and then you can't get work in the fall and the winter, because then they're going to come get your equipment, or you're going to, bankrupt or something, depends on what you have. But don't overspend, and I try to help them with that. And I also explain that um, you need to not put all your money in your equipment. You need to have some for marketing. You
I
need to
always tell
be,
people how much money you put in equipment, you better put in
yeah,
marketing. So if you're going to buy a $25,000 rig, you better be
mhm,
willing to put $25,000 in marketing.
exactly.
Because I've seen so many people, you'll find that trailer half price a year later
Mhm,
because they decided to change what they're going to do, which means
yeah,
they couldn't figure out how to get work. They didn't spend no money on marketing, and they're going
right.
out of business. Is what that means.
Yeah, I get a lot of guys calling me, "Hey, what do I do? My phone's not ringing." I said, "Nobody knows you." Like, I'm not
Right.
trying to be rude, but nobody know, our business, we got, 4 wrap trucks running around
Well,
all
you've
over
been
the
doing it for
place.
17 years. I mean, you've
Right.
got a
So
name. You've got.
people know us, and the new guys, they don't know you. So they're not going to call you. They don't know you. And you don't have your Google listings up there. They don't know you. So you need to go out and let them know you. Take your business cards, go knock on doors. If you do one house, go knock on all the neighbors' doors, give them your business card. Just sell yourself. Oh, that just popped up. So somebody says equipment doesn't sell a job. That's perfect. But sell yourself, sell your experience. I've won so many jobs just by doing a demo and showing what you can do. Take an iPad, take before and afters, knock on doors, show them what you can do. It's just it'll just make it easier for you. And once you get a name, it's going to come easy, word of mouth. But you got to do something for those mouths that's going to spread it. You've got to do a good job. You've got to show up. That's the biggest thing these days, is actually showing up and doing a good job.
I did put the link down, but what is the name of the business? Your business or name of the? It's Panhandle,
Yep,
and then
Panhandle
what's the
Power Wash
website?
Supply. It is www.ppwsupply.com.
PPW. That's like, hey Dan, just remember that big competitor you got up there, PPW, and then just add supply to it
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
pressure washing. That kicks everybody's butt up there. Just so you know, it'd be real easy to remember. Who's that company that's always I'm bidding against? Oh, PPW Supply. There you go.
I'll supply you the stuff to beat PPW up there. How about that?
They're a big company. Hey, he's doing well.
That's good.
Dan's doing well. So, um, all right. What is before we jump off here? Obviously, King of Pressure Wash. If you want to go check out, join the membership. I teach a lot
Mhm.
of this Monday night marketing, all of that good stuff. Oh, I've got to go back to bring her back on here. Kingofmarketing.io. I'm starting doing marketing, so if you need anything, I can help you out in that. I am going to have a class. I don't have it up on the website yet. It will. I've got 2 other things that's more important that's hitting me right now. I'm hoping to have it up by Sunday night. So if you go check it out, keep KPW Train. This is going to be a permanent lighting class and a pressure washing class. So the permanent lighting class will be Friday, Saturday. It'll be June 2nd and 3rd. And then the pressure wash class will be that Saturday, Sunday. So Saturday is always marketing. Saturday might be a little bit of permanent lighting if we can't get it all in. This isn't going to be just Christmas lights, but it will be permanent lighting. I know a lot of people are starting to get into it, and I have the expert coming with Tyler Zimmerman, not Fred, but Tyler. He knows this stuff in and out. It's pretty awesome what's coming out with it. They can do security lighting. They can do all kinds of stuff. So I will try to get that up on the website tomorrow or Friday. So that way, if you want to start signing up for it, it will have limited spots. And I know there's a lot of people wanting this stuff. So right now it's at KPW Train. It was where it will be held for now. It might have another website later, but I'm going to try to keep it simple. So that's where. So Trudy, do you read
Yes,
books or anything?
I do when I have time. Usually it's all in my head.
Oh,
But
okay.
yes, yeah, no, I do. I do like reading if I have
What
time.
is a good business book that you really like?
I didn't do any business books. I got out of college, psych major, and I was just, I couldn't sit in a chair. I just couldn't. So I had a great idea. I was going to be a psychologist. I got to college, graduated, my psychology major, and then I just couldn't sit. I was full of energy. So then I just started, I was a store retail manager for years. And
So
then,
let's go back to that because I hit on this a lot with selling and stuff.
mhm.
How can a psychology degree help us dealing with selling with customers?
You have to know what they want. You have to let them talk to you.
What
You
you
know,
mean
I'm
you can't talk the whole time about pressure washing and how awesome you are and how awesome equipment you have?
No, 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 no. So when people come to me, that's why I said I'm a horrible salesperson because when they come to me and want to buy stuff, I listen to what they're going to be doing. I listen. Okay, so if they want to do hood vent cleaning, I'm not going to sell them a 10-gallon a minute cold water machine because that's going to be pointless. It's going to be a lot of money, but it's going to be pointless. So, I listen to what they're going to do. First, they come at me. I'm like, this is what I want. I said, and then I talk to them. I say, okay, but what are you going to do? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? And then I explain what their goals are and what their dreams are. And then I say, okay, this is what you need. So, and especially with homeowners too, you can explain a lot just by letting them tell you what they need.
Mm.
You've got, oh yeah, I want a house. That's all I want. Then you walk around with like, oh, but look, once I start cleaning, the house is going to run, it's going to leave it clean in your driveway and that's going to look funny. And they're like, oh, well, I don't really want, do you think I should wash the driveway? And I'm, oh yeah, so, reverse psychology works great too. But, just listening and understanding people in the washing side. I mean, don't be too aggressive. Don't force anything on people what they don't want, and they'll respect that and they'll come back to you. And I think that's why I have such a good customer base because I'm not a salesperson, I'm a contractor, and I can be on a phone with a customer for an hour going over chemicals. I've mentored probably 6 guys out there. I've got a couple that are not calling me every day, but I just acquired a new mentee, I guess, whatever it is. So I'm going to start mentoring him. But I've mentored quite a few guys, and it's just it's just inspirational to me to be able to help these guys and give them knowledge. And people ask, why don't you charge for your class? Because you can call me on the phone and I'll just give it to you. I'm like, I'll just open up and keep talking. I'm passionate about this industry. I'm passionate about this paint issue, and I'm just I just want to be there to help. So I just want to be there and just give what I can give back to what this industry has given to me. Somebody asked what my number is.
Yeah,
My cell phone or the work number? I can
I
give
would do
both, but
work number.
work number. My husband put my cell phone on the website and my business card, so I loved him for that. And then he bitched because I was on the phone all the time, and I'm like, well, the work number is 850-835-4052. So that's the business. And the email for me is trudy@ppwsupply.com. You can get my email there. And I'm there 5 days a week, and I'm willing to talk and help anybody out. So if you have any questions about the the paint issue or just anything, if you have questions about chemicals and what's safe on what, I'm an open book. I'll talk to you about anything.
So, what before we jump off here, what's one word of wisdom that you would give someone that's either thinking about starting a pressure washing business or that is trying to grow it?
It is not for everybody. If you have sensitive skin, you are gonna burn. It's hard. I came up with I got my shirt on. It's stay humble and hustle hard. You have to have those two. It's not gonna come to you. It's hard work. Once you get there and put in the hours and you put in the years, It is a wonderful industry to be in, but it's not easy. It's not handed to you. So you're gonna be frustrated. You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna want to give up, and you're gonna want to quit. But that's what you've got to believe in yourself. You got to have a drive, and find somebody. Just find somebody. I know not every competitor is going to want to talk to you, because there's some guys out there that's just like, no, because you're going to steal my business. But there are people out there that are willing to talk to you and give you advice and help you, so you don't have to make the same mistakes they made back in the day. So just couple up with somebody, even if it's not in your area. The only thing about that is I get people, in Tennessee or Nebraska calling me, how much would you bid for this? Well, it's different. It's a different location. So I can't, I can give you a baseline, this is where you could start, just have a minimum charge. But, I can't tell you how to bid. I couldn't tell you how to bid a house in your area, or you couldn't tell me how to bid a house in my area. And also, it all depends how saturated the market is and
Well,
that kind of.
I kind of go with that, but I also don't go with that. I had to talk to your old boy Greg today. Actually, he messaged me today. He
Yeah.
messaged me yesterday. He's like, Guyman, I got a problem. I got a problem, Guyman. And I'm like, and he tells me his problem. He's like, I'm booked out for 3 weeks and my phone's ringing six, seven,
Hmm.
8 times a day. And I said, you know what your answer is, and I've been telling you forever, and you don't listen to me because I knew what his he was charging, and what I
Hmm.
tell people is way more than what he's been charging. I'm like,
Hmm.
you got to raise your prices. He's like,
Yeah.
and his close rate's at like 66, 67%. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you got two choices. You either find another truck and get another guy, and he's like, I've tried to hire 4 or 5 people and I ain't working out, or you raise your
Hmm.
prices. Them are your
Yeah.
two choices. And I'm kind of with you on that, Trudy. A lot of people ask, why do I always teach people to charge premium pricing right out of the get
Right.
go? Because if you can't close premium pricing jobs, you're not going to close cheap jobs either, and you're going to go out of business because you're going to work so hard and make no money.
Right.
It's as hard as it is to get a $199 customer. If
Hmm.
you work that same amount hardness and go after the $599 customer, it takes just as much work to do each one. It's just a matter
Exactly.
of you get paid more on this one. And the only difference between the two of it is what I see in people is you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe
Exactly.
you're amazing. You got to believe that you're awesome. You got to believe that you're worth that much. And in this industry, I know a lot of people start this, and I mean, let's be honest, there's both people of the spectrum. There's people that are in the 9 to 5 and they hate the
Hmm.
9 to 5 and they want to get out of corporate world. They're making 100 grand a year and they just hate life, right? They don't want to go
Yep.
back to work. There's a lot of people in this industry, they're making 20, 25 bucks an hour, $50,000 a year. And they want to get out, they want a better life. And I want you to have a better life, right?
Yeah.
I want you to have a better life. I always say my goal is to help 1,000 people make $100,000 a year because I really
Hmm.
truly believe that will change
Right.
1,000 people's lives. I know it will. And so that's why I teach premium pricing, because
Right.
I see more people going out of business because they're down here on the low end pricing versus there. And I've even heard it in Florida. You can't make
Oh,
that in
yeah.
Florida. And I can show you people right now that are making it in Florida. And they're not all big people, and some of them are
Right.
small people, but they're people. And
Right.
Jason Hefner, I haven't seen him on here tonight, but he's the one I always talked about. He started, and he told me one of the first thing he said is Jason, I can't charge what you're telling me because there's all these $99 guys down here. And I said, quit worrying about everybody else. You know what? Everybody else, they won't answer their phone. They don't do
Yep.
what they need to do, and quit worrying about them. Worried about you. And guess what? Last year he did $250,000 part time as a full time firefighter and doing pressure washing, and did $250,000. He did a $35,000 last month, and he's on track to do a $40,000 this month. It can be done even in Florida where it's cheap. And
Oh,
when you hear
exactly.
people say you can't do that in my area, that tells me is you don't believe in yourself and you do
Hmm.
not think that you can. And you know what? If you don't think you can, you're right. You won't be able to hit it.
Exactly. That's what I tell people. I said, don't. undervalue your experience. Don't undervalue yourself. Go out there. People's like, well, I'm going to charge this much for this house. I said, I don't get out of bed for, my minimum is 250. You want a driveway done? It's 250.
Right.
I don't. And, we've actually Classic Touch, our pressure washing business, for Panhandle, we grew faster than we thought we would, but because I can't keep my mouth shut and stay off social media, that's beside the point. But Classic Touch has actually been funding Panhandle. We didn't take loans. We didn't do anything. So they've been paying for the equipment, because when you open a retail store, you don't make money for 5 years plus because you've got to keep putting that inventory in. So Classic Touch is a very successful pressure washing industry. We've worked our butt off to make it that way. We show up, we do a good job. We honor, we don't have a tail light warranty. If somebody is not happy, we will come back. And it's when we started out years ago, it was so few people that, we could charge what we wanted, which benefited us now because we're not going back. So all these new guys are coming in trying to charge less and they're not making it. So good example, for the last 16 years, we've done this subdivision. We do all the sidewalks in the subdivision, a ritzy golf subdivision, and it takes 2 people a month to do. And then we started adding a third person. So I go in, I do all the sidewalks ahead, and they go on with the trailer on each side and do all the street ribbons. Because when I rinse my sidewalk and I rinse dirty water into the gutter, I'm not going to want them to come, I don't want to have to rinse what they just washed. So I go ahead of them and do that. They got a new HOA person in there, and we lost the job that year. So we're like, well, wonder what happened. We've been doing this it was at 12 years at that point. I'm like, I wonder what happened. We've always been happy. So we just drive by just to see who it was. And there was this husband and wife in there with a 4-gallon a minute with a wand, and it had water on a radio flyer wagon. They were in there a week and they didn't get in front of the pool done. So of course they called us back and they said, well, can you take off what they did? I'm like, no, we're going to have to do that over. I'm not putting my name on that. There's wand marks everywhere. So they realized quickly that just because it's cheaper, it's not better.
Yep.
So we haven't lost that again. They realized that, but just because you want to do, I've heard some guys that say, oh, I'm a $99 guy, but they're not. They're not a 90. They go up there and say, hey, I start at $99. They get there. Oh, that's just for your sidewalk in front of your house. Driveway's going to be this. It's just to fish them in. It's just like it's just to get them there. And like, oh, your house is going to be $500. And this, and they get them there. So, those little signs is a gimmick.
Right.
So everybody gets mad. Oh, $99 guy. They're not doing 90. Some people are, but not all of them. Some of them are using it for a marketing ploy.
Right there's a $99 guy, Benjamin Gregory. He's not $99 guy. He did almost $1 million last year. He's killing it. All righty. Well, I've kept you longer than I was supposed to. I usually try to keep people an hour, but that's all right. We give good, valuable information. I appreciate you coming on, Trudi. It was awesome. I think this is something that a lot of people, if you're just jumping on, you definitely want to watch it again. Watch this one 2 or 3 times. Make sure you're doing your test spots. Make sure you're not just doing one test spot, but multiple test spots. And make sure you're trying to cover yourself in every which way you can. It is definitely something that you could lose your business over, and it is not something that we want to think lightly and just not do it. So thank you for coming on, and we'll see you all later. But hang on, Trudi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.